Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional and an author who does a lot of work with YPO from Dubai, UAE, Mr. Rajesh Nagjee. Rajesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. I'm so excited to be on the show with you. And I've seen some of your episodes. They're absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Rajesh is a CEO, mentor, and coach. He's an author, and all of you know I'm very partial to authors. He's an author of a book titled Lost in the Labyrinth: The Emotional Toll of Forum Stagnation. He has another forthcoming book, which is 12 Competencies of Peer Leadership, and yet another one, which is 12 Competencies of Visionary Delegation. So, Rajesh, before we talk about your book and we talk about Forum, tell me about your own journey in brief.
So I have been very fortunate. I was born in a business family. So immediately after graduating, I did, first I did a MBA in Bajaj, and then I joined our family business, which is established in 1880. We manufacture umbrellas, and we've got a lot of agencies. So I worked there for 12 years and produced amazing results. But I started feeling, that the people that I was interacting with, these were all small shop owners. Whilst they're very, very good people, but I needed a little bit more stimulation. So I took a sabbatical for 3.5 years to pursue music, and I play the sitar. So I went around the world playing concerts. That's when I discovered I had what it takes to be a very good amateur, but not a professional musician. That's when I got inspired to build a hospital. And I built a critical care hospital, which I ran another 12 years. It was during that period that I discovered that I had the talent to coach, because I started coaching my people. So I sold the hospital, got certified in 14 different disciplines, spent 80,000 hours on my craft, and became a CEO, mentor, and coach. And I coach over 350 CEOs with a combined asset base of $3.5 billion. And I apply physics to business as opposed to philosophy, as opposed to journalism and history, which comes out of most business schools, which stimulates, thinking. But how do you get the needle moving?
Correct.
And that's been really my passion. So, I operate with a guaranteed result philosophy, because I don't want to take fees unless I'm able to produce results. So that's really been my
What an
journey.
amazing journey from family business to playing the sitar around the world to building a critical care hospital to becoming a coach. Wow. You've really been from one specialization to another. So let's now talk about your book first, and then we'll come to coaching and peer leadership. Tell me about your book, Lost in the Labyrinth: The Emotional Toll of Forum Stagnation. And before I ask you the question, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners to go and check out Mr. Rajesh Nagjee's book. I'm also going to get a copy of your book for myself. Tell me about the inspiration to write the book.
I have been researching masterminds and forums for over 15 years, because I have CEO's Business Growth Program community, and we operate very similar forums. And the profile of the people who are in my program are YPO lookalikes. And then
Rajesh, if I may just stop you for a minute, for my viewers and listeners, tell us what is the forum.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, forum is a group of between 6 to 12 people. Usually, the sweet spot is around 8. And this is a group of business owners and CEOs who have a common pursuit, which is to help each other grow. It gets lonely at the top.
Right.
So these people come together in a structured format. They meet, once a month, and they are able to help each other solve their problems, whether it's at the family level or the personal level or the business level. And, it's the mastermind principle. And Napoleon Hill described it as when 2 or more people come together in a spirit of harmony with a common goal, a third mind is born, which we cannot access on our own. So that is the principle that creates this unique peer group where people offer advice-free shared experiences
Hmm.
for people to pick and choose, like laying out a buffet, and you pick and choose whatever works for you to take your issues and solve them. So it's a very enriching, very engrossing process. And for those people who are in forums, that's one of the most precious assets. And they want to nurture it. They want to make sure that the forum is vibrant. So that's basically, in
Very
short,
well
what
said.
the
Thank
forum
you
is.
so much. And I'm sorry I interrupted your chain of thought when you were telling me about your book.
Yeah, not at all. So 15 years of research, I've seen forums that rise, they plateau, and then they disband, or they come
Mm.
down to such a level where it's no longer a forum. So, and I was also invited by YPO South Asia to create a new body of work, which we called the Next Level Forum. And we spent 5 months in researching. So, the central premise of that is that YPO, for example, has created such a wonderful body of work that
Mm.
creates forums that sustain over many, many years. You yourself have
Yeah.
been in forums for so many years.
Yeah.
That is all part of what YPO has designed.
Mm.
But these are all prescriptive processes. So South Asia, the chair that time is Sandeep Mani, and I, we started thinking and exploring what is the way in which we can take forums to the next level.
Mm.
So when we found this word, this anchor word called prescriptive processes,
Mm.
which are absolutely mandatory and required,
Mm.
we then introduced an introspective process because that is what would take the forums to the next level.
Very interesting.
So all that research led to this new body of work called the Next Level Forum, which we ran for over 100 forums in different settings.
Hmm.
And about 80% of the forums have accessed the next level, and there's a lot of rejuvenation of their bonding, their vulnerability, and their take-home value. So all of this experience is what has created this book, so that forums that have got a certain maturity, let's say 3 years plus, when they read that book, they would be able to access what is the way in which they can stimulate their forum and move forward.
Mm.
And the way the book has been written is, I'm inviting the reader to join a forum. And it
Mm.
would be absolutely amazing for people to be able to go and sit inside other
Correct.
people's forums and watch how they work. And that's
Correct.
really the experience. It's a very
Correct.
fast moving paced book. So that's basically the
Fascinating. Thank you. And I'm going to get a copy of your book because, as you mentioned, I've been a part of three forums, and two of these have been in existence for 16 years. Uh, but coming to your book, next question, you talk about forum stagnation. What are some of the key signs you have observed that are indicators that a forum is facing stagnation?
There are two kinds of signs. One is the external and the other is the internal.
Right.
The external signs are, there's a lax in commitment, meeting structures not followed, people come with weak updates,
Hmm.
and so it's more like a exclusive club where people are together,
Hmm.
but they're not sort of engaging the way they would
Correct.
engage with the forum. And
Hmm.
the other experience is that, hey, what am I getting from this forum? I'm investing so much. Now they are stuck in a place where they can't leave the forum because of the friendships and the bonding,
Hmm.
but the forum is not serving them. And that is where they get lost in that whole labyrinth, that whole maze. How do we get out of this place? So
Right.
I can't step out and I can't move forward. So that
Hmm.
is basically the state, which is a very sorry state for forums.
Hmm.
And unless they go to the next level, there's there's a problem. So those are the
Absolutely.
signs, really.
Very well said. And you also talk about the emotional toll of stagnation. Tell me a
So
little bit more about how this will manifest itself.
So the way this works is, that the fundamental reason why people are in forums is it's very lonely at the top.
Right.
And, now you have this whole group of people that you can, in unfiltered ways, speak about all the things that are bothering you because of the confidentiality and so on and so
Right.
forth.
Right.
But now when the forum starts to decline and vulnerability is not present, the quality of updates are down,
Hmm.
it's emotionally very dissatisfying. You can't leave the group because you want to be part of it, but it's not giving you that richness,
Hmm.
and that is where the whole emotional element is. And then the other part is that lots of people tolerate upsets.
Hmm.
Sets have three components to it. There's an expectation that is not fulfilled, there's an intention that is not moving forward, and there is this undelivered communication of their feelings.
Hmm.
And they keep it under the carpet because they don't want to disturb the forum. So
Hmm.
that is the whole, it's like the metaphor, the best metaphor that I can offer is people getting stuck in a bad marriage.
Hmm. Amazing. Great response. What are some of the top strategies you recommend for keeping a forum engaged and productive over a period of time?
So there are three things that I recommend which have really, really worked wonders. Number one is to revisit the purpose and the vision of the forum along with the
Hmm.
constitution,
Hmm.
because all of those things have a shelf life, they
Correct.
expire.
Yeah.
And unless you revisit and you reignite that passion,
Hmm.
that whole possibility called the forum does not exist in people's consciousness. So that's number one. Number two, the heart of any forum meeting is the update. And
Right.
I've seen people, do casual updates. They just write a few bullet points and come and wing it. I recommend writing the update down
Yeah.
at least 48 hours before the meeting and reading the update. And if you want a richer experience, give
Hmm.
a printed sheet to the person to your right or left and ask them to read. Because when
Hmm.
they are reading it, they're only reading what you put down in the update. So if it's a very well formed update, it has vulnerability, it's got all these things, and it lands. And the third piece then is to be very, very prepared in your presentation so that when you are presenting those dynamics, it's very easy for people to grasp them. And
Correct.
then the whole process of shared experiences and all that starts. So
Hmm.
I think that, being a little bit formal about how you approach the forum as
Right.
opposed to, so when people call me, I tell them, listen, just assume for the purpose of the retreat that I am the owner of the forum and you're my paid professional CEOs.
Hmm.
What are you telling me about the ROI that you guys are creating for yourself? And then that we set up the whole
Yeah.
conversation moving. Everybody understands that conversation.
Hmm. Hmm. Amazing. And I just love your thought on, writing out the update and giving it to the person on your right or the left to read it out. I hadn't heard this, but I'm going to have this implemented in all my forums. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
Moving on, Rajesh, I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about peer leadership because that's what YPO is all about. And, forum is a place where we all feel very emotionally secure. And with our forum brothers, we can share a lot in complete confidentiality. How can forum members support each other's leadership growth without creating any unhealthy competition?
So this is a very powerful question. It's like a gym.
Mm.
So when people go to the gym, they go to work out to
Yeah.
build their stamina, their vitality, and the strength, and so on and so forth. So the forum is a great place to develop your leadership. And the best form of leadership that is relevant today is peer leadership, because peer leadership is defined as how do you provide leadership where you don't have formal authority.
Hmm.
And if you show up like that, even in your own leadership teams,
Hmm.
because your A players in any company, they've got so many different options available to them. They don't want to work with a heavy-handed boss. They
Correct.
love to work with a peer. So
Hmm.
mastering that next level of leadership creates an amazing impact in everything that you're doing. So
Hmm.
if now you're in a forum, these are all people who are go-getters, they are alpha personalities,
Hmm.
they don't want to be led. So how are you going to provide leadership in
Hmm.
that group? And sort of just taking that on as an assignment
Hmm.
can have a huge impact in all areas of your life, because
Hmm.
even when children are growing up, like I have a 25-year-old, he doesn't want to listen to dad. He wants to
Right.
listen to somebody who's being his peer, where he opens up, he talks,
Correct.
so that's basically what the next level growth for everybody is.
Hmm. And you're so right. I mean, peer sharing is extremely powerful. But then a follow-up question for you, Rajesh, is how can peers hold each other accountable for both personal and professional growth in a forum setting?
So what really typically happens is, that when, for example, if I have shared some, dynamic related to my work or my family or my person,
Hmm.
ultimately it comes down to what are the actions that I'm going to be taking.
Hmm.
And I need to take it a step further and commit to those actions and then request my forum, my group to hold me accountable by asking questions like, hey, how are you doing on, the XYZ project that you shared? Are you meeting your milestones? Are you on target? Can we help you? Can we support you?
Yeah.
That is the accountability that is extremely pleasant, extremely sweet, and it keeps me going as opposed to somebody sort of, trying to stand on a pedestal and hold me accountable. That accountability doesn't work at all.
Great response. And how would you help peer leaders deal with difficult situations or members within their own forum?
So, there are all kinds of difficulties. So,
Hmm.
some of the difficulties are to do with forum members who are very commanding, very demanding, intimidating, and all the rest of it. So, somebody needs to sit down and share with them that, listen, this is not helping you, it's not helping us, it's robbing us of the whole experience of being in the forum. So it's basically taking these things head on. Now, what typically happens is people just tolerate and then they say, okay, this is the way he is, and leave him. So they are
Correct.
not really being invasive in a gentle way. It's like
Hmm.
the difference between a surgeon and a physician. A surgeon will
Hmm.
pick up a scalpel with a lot of compassion in his heart to
Hmm.
make things happen. And I
Hmm.
think that's what we owe each other to be part of the forum, because there is so many hidden penalties that people are paying for
Hmm.
the way they're being. So
Hmm.
that's one type of things. Then the other is, to deal with commitment and confidentiality, having conversations and engaging people in those conversations
Hmm.
to make commitments arise. So there's a very interesting distinction here, which
Hmm.
I discovered a long time back, is
Hmm.
that every conversation has a shelf life. It
Hmm.
expires.
Hmm.
So commitments that we make in any conversation, they're going to expire. So unless we rejuvenate them, unless we bring them up, and
Hmm.
people step into that possibility again,
Right.
nothing is going to happen. So
Hmm.
accountability lives when possibilities are alive.
Hmm. Very interesting. And what would be some key forum rules or practices you would advocate or you would recommend to ensure continuous growth? Because every forum member's objective is to get to the next level, and not too many people make it.
So when we did this research for South Asia, we spent a lot of time in articulating why people join forums and what is it that they're seeking.
Hmm.
And it took us a month and a half with 20 senior forum members involved to get that statement articulated, chiseling every single word.
Hmm.
When we had that statement articulated, we got research that was done,
Hmm.
and when we got a overwhelming response of 94% people saying, yes, this is the reason why I'm in the forum, the next
Hmm.
thing we did is we set up a research on what are the outcomes that you're seeking from the forum
Hmm.
and which are highly satisfied, which are not satisfied. When we
Hmm.
analyzed all that data, what we found is something absolutely counterintuitive and amazing,
Hmm.
is that the number one problem in forums is we don't know how to address upsets.
Correct.
So we created a very simple three-step upset dismantling process. Of course, you have the issue clearing process and all that.
Hmm.
Those are brilliant. But this three-step process was so easy to work with. So first is, what is your expectation that has got blocked? What is your intention that is not moving forward? And what is your undelivered communication in the form of your feelings? So if you can articulate these three things, it's like the shoelace, the three laces, once you open up, the upset disappears. And that is what holds forums back.
Interesting.
This all these upsets, because everybody has expectations,
Correct.
right? I want this, I want that.
Hmm.
My expectation is that I want my take home value to be very high. The
Correct.
moment it deteriorates, I'm living with it.
Hmm.
That is what prevents the forums to go to the next level.
Very
So the other
interesting.
way to say that is, people living with their upsets blocks a forum's journey to the next level.
Fascinating. Thank you. So, Rajesh, I'm going to move, and I have time for a couple of questions, but I want to talk to you about coaching. Um, you mentioned some time back, a few minutes back, about how you bring physics to business. And when I was reading about you, there's also your 90-day delegation mastery program. Tell me about this program and how do you bring physics to business?
So I think there are three, four questions in what you just asked me. So let me deal with them one by
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So the first and foremost is the CEO. So if you look at all CEOs in the world,
Hmm.
irrespective of the size of their company and where they are, etc., their job description is in two lines. Number one is to produce results through other people.
Hmm.
And number two is to inspire other people to produce results through other people.
Yeah.
So if I take these two lines of job description,
Hmm.
it just becomes into one word that's called delegation.
Hmm.
And the problem with delegation is that everybody believes they're very good at delegation. Hey, look at our success. We couldn't
Hmm.
have gotten where we've gotten
Yeah.
unless we are good at delegation. All
Hmm.
right, thank you very much, John. Let me ask you a few questions on your
Hmm.
work life balance. Are you micromanaging? How much time are you spending? Are you able to take a holiday without fear of total business collapse? And suddenly they start getting that,
Hmm.
my God, there are so many gaps. And those gaps are that your delegation competencies are not where they need to be.
Hmm.
So there is a continuum between abdication and delegation. And when I ask people to take a survey,
Hmm.
turns out that they are at a 4 on 10 average is what I've discovered with people. Then we go to work on developing these delegation competencies. So that now brings me into the program.
Hmm.
So my program really is about setting up a whole delegation framework, starting with one haunting question. And
Hmm.
that question is, what is there to delegate? And people
Right.
always come back with a variation of the same theme that what there is to delegate are projects and tasks.
Hmm.
Hello, as a CEO, your primary responsibility to the board and to the shareholders
Yeah.
is a P&L responsibility and a balance sheet responsibility.
Hmm.
So let's start with the P&L. Can
Correct.
you not delegate your P&L to your leadership team?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, they're doing these bits and bobs. They're working on this project and that task, and then you're sitting there trying to
Correct.
put it all together to get your P&L moving forward.
Yeah.
So, in the 4 weeks, we set up this whole framework where we
Hmm.
start with the CEO's mandate, which is the commitment that he's making to the board or the group CEO. From there, his game plan, and then we
Hmm.
cascade both this to the leadership team. And the last piece that we put in together is a huddle where they meet on a weekly basis to look at the victories, their failures, and what are the things that they need to do. And once that process starts up, there's an immediate, shift in how the company is working, the
Hmm.
dynamic shift, and the result. You don't have to wait for long. You can see it the next month itself.
Hmm.
That is the delegation mastery program that I'm working with, because in all my years I've discovered that this is a hidden, it's something, it lives at a level of delusion. People
Hmm.
think they're very good at
Yeah.
delegation, which they're
Hmm.
not. It's just like quality, like
Correct.
Cosby starts that whole conversation. Everybody believes they know what quality is, but they don't, so then he starts that whole conversation from there. So everybody believes that they know what delegation is, but hey, hang on a second,
Hmm.
you are good, but what about the competencies? What is your level of the competency in
Hmm.
delegation?
Hmm.
And what are the inner game competencies? So I've discovered that there are 12 inner game competencies
Mhm.
which are necessary and sufficient to achieve world class delegation levels. So that's what the 3-month program is. It helps to lay the foundation and it helps to develop these 12 competencies to transform a CEO into a world class delegation, competency levels.
And on that note, Rajesh, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me. You had such a fascinating journey. I had expected our conversation to talk about forum, but you took it to a different level. I thought I understood forums, but the amount I learned from you today on forums is something really incredible. I am going to definitely ask several of my forum buddies and my chapter to reach out to you for your inputs to be able to take their forums to the next level. Thank you for speaking to me about your book, Lost in the Labyrinth. Thank you for speaking to me about forum stagnation, about the emotional toll. And there are so many other topics that we covered in peer leadership as well. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ash. This was absolutely brilliant speaking with you, and it's so easy to flow. When you're being with somebody who offers this level of listening, my acknowledgement is that I experienced feeling heard.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you so
extremely
much.
rare.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.